City, county, and state officers came to KZ today to train for the situation any parent, including Danny Smith, dreads: a school shooting.
I think that it's great. I think that the more training, the better, and the more attention that gets brought to these kinds of things, the better. I think that schools all over the country should be doing it, and that we should be doing everything that we can to protect our kids.
Go upstairs.
This session, organized by the East Central Illinois Mobile Law Enforcement Training Team, taught officers basic principles in the classroom about clearing rooms and identifying a shooter. But some of their lessons were a little more hands-on. Although the recent shooting in Newtown, Connecticut resonates with a lot of Americans, KZ Police Chief Mark Jenkins says this training session has been scheduled since November. Other officers say they've been working on lessons like these since the Columbine shootings in 1999 to teach officers the essential skills they need to handle these situations.
I feel that, even though it's a slim chance, there's a chance that any school in the country could be involved in a school shooting, and we as police need to know how to respond.
Jenkins says the importance of programs like this is huge because someday these officers could have to respond to a real situation.
80% of the police departments in the country are small departments, less than 10 officers, so there's a good chance it's going to be 2 or 3 officers responding, so then the training becomes even more critical.
Today's training put officers through realistic simulations. Some of the tactics taught in today's session are being kept under wraps so officer response can't be predicted. I was allowed to sit in on the session in the middle of the action, and as one officer told me, they take this training very seriously and hope they never have to use it. Live in the studio, I'm Savanna Tomei. Casey, back to you.
Interstate 70 is one of the nation's most traveled highways, and this stretch here in Illinois is no exception. The Illinois Department of Transportation began construction today on 3 bridges on I-70, including this one behind me. Bob Utz at the Illinois Department of Transportation's Effingham office says the delay shouldn't be too bad. Plus, there are options for detours.
Well, hopefully we won't have too much of a delay, seeing that we're going to have one lane open all the time. But if it becomes a fact that we do have delays, they can use Route 40.
But the project comes with a hefty price tag.
It's $10.2 million to do all the work, and that's through the end of the middle of November of 2014.
And while the construction is entirely taxpayer funded, he says the repairs are necessary.
The age of these bridges, they've been patched a lot, and they're just deteriorated enough that we have to put a new deck on them, or we're going to spend a lot of time repairing them. And it's dangerous for us to get out there to do the repair work, so it just became time to replace the deck and get it back to the way it ought to be.
Utz says together the 3 bridges aren't expected to be finished until November 2014. But just like any other construction project, that date could change based on the workload and the weather. Construction began today. We won't start to see lane closures until next Monday, March 4th. Here in Cumberland County, I'm Savanna Tomei for WEIU Newswatch.
Good evening, Casey, Lauren. Although initially it was quite the surprise, the news has sunk in, and now local Catholics are reflecting on what this means to them.
I was a little shocked.
Shocked?
A little bit shocked.
Shock and surprise is the general consensus here in Central Illinois, but Catholic Cameron Murray says this is an opportunity for change.
It's certainly an opportunity for change, but not change in a bad thing, in a progressive manner to move forward.
I think what's going to be most important in all that is that people are going to be called to pray that the best person to lead our church comes forward.
But just the fact that he resigned is a big change in and of itself.
And I'm only 21 years old, so how many more are there going to be in our lifetime?
The idea that Pope Benedict XVI was willing to announce his resignation, something that hasn't happened in 600 years, I think really speaks of the depth of his love for his faith and the depth of his love for servant leadership. I'm in awe.
Now, it's not just parishioners reflecting on today's announcement. Father John Titus of St. Charles Borromeo in Charleston says Benedict should live the rest of his life in happiness.
So for a long time, he's wanted to go home to Germany, and he has a brother who's a retired priest, and I think to play the piano, to enjoy his writing, and maybe have a good German beer once in a while, which he hasn't been able to do.
Now, the Vatican stressed there's no specific medical condition that prompted Benedict's decision to resign. The Roman Catholic Church will now elect a new pope from among its cardinals. All cardinals under the age of 80 will participate in what's called a conclave. A new pope, will be elected by a 2/3 majority vote. The Vatican is confident there will be a new pope in place by Easter. Live in the studio, I'm Savanna Tomei.